live here at H&D Abroad. I am Dee, and it is Thursday. Y'all know I rarely go live outside of Saturday and Tuesday, but I have a special guest today um, who is joining us in a new place that she's going to be visiting for a while. But before I bring her on, I just want to introduce myself and say thank you to those who are joining. Um, on this channel, we are in the process of moving abroad. So we are working specifically with couples and the things that couples want to consider. And that would include living a healthy lifestyle and building generational wealth. And moving abroad can be your plan A. We want you to consider it your plan A for doing those things and more. So, if that is what brings you to these internet streets, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And so, I don't want to take any more time. I want to bring in our special guest today. Right there she is.
Hey, love. You know
Yes,
it's a
yes,
pleasure to be with
yes.
you.
So I want to say thank you to Sandra and let her introduce herself because we're going to jump right into the topic.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me. You know, it's always a good time when we get together. It's always a good time when we can chat it up because we have so much in common, and that is so crazy. But for those of you that don't know me, my name is Sandra. I'm a retired teacher. I taught in the city of Chicago for almost 30 years. I almost made it 30. The panty hit, and I was like, oh, yes, oh, yeah, this is the perfect time to get off. And so I retired about 3 years ago and just decided that it was time for a change. I had served everyone else and it was time to serve me. It was time for me to really put into place the things that I needed to live the American dream because I hadn't really been living the American dream. I had just been kind of going through the motions of the American dream. But my dream was to build generational wealth, to have health, whole health, real healthiness, mental health, physical health, spiritual health, oneness with myself. And I found I couldn't do it in the States. And so here I am. Here I am 3 years later in Bali. I have a YouTube channel from Lack to Legacy where we talk about all things money, investing, mindset in particular, particularly how to go from a scarcity mindset to a mindset of abundance. And that's where I am now. And I tell you, life's good. I'm grateful. I'm humbled by the whole experience. And I'm glad to be here with you today, Dee.
Absolutely. So, yeah, this is Sandra in her bop around zone. She's usually in a different place, but I was like, do when I was considering this topic of black women need to leave those toxic workplace. I,
Yes.
about a week and a half ago, I was like, can you let me know when you get back? And she said, baby, I won't be back for 6 months. So let's do it.
Not me. Not me. Don't wait for that. Don't wait for me to come back to the States because that'll be, I may not. You know, it just depends on what the universe is and how this journey unfolds. And I finally gotten to a place where I'm comfortable letting the journey just unfold. I don't feel like I have to control anymore. So it is what it is. But back to the States, no, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Yeah, I promise you, you say something often that I think applies to this discussion specifically. I was just like, man, Sandra, you are so brave. Like, you just got on a plane and flew 15 plus hours to a country you don't know the language, and you're just like, baby, I do this scared. And I have a plan, but I allow the adventure to unfold. And
Yeah.
I think seeing that and surrounding myself with people like you, I think
Mm-hmm.
are how I am able to raise my vibration in a similar way and apply it to what I know is a path that is unfolding. In
Yeah.
addition to my careful planning, just being open to that and seeing other sisters
Mm-hmm.
embrace that in their lives as well.
Yeah, the fear is ever present. I mean, because think about it. I think it's your brain's way of keeping you safe. Whenever you venture out and you do something, I mean, unknown, just unthinkable, your brain is always going to tell you, oh, no, 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 get back to home base. Home base is what we know. We can process that. That's safe. I know how to process in a safe space. But I promise you, I I think a recurring theme in my life has been fear and facing those fears and conquering those fears. Girl, I'm scared of everything. I'm scared of heights. I'm scared of mice. I'm scared of spiders. But what I have found is that on the other side of that fear, oh my God, there's such freedom. There's such a sense of liberation. And there's also this thing where you build capacity. The more times you stare a fear right in the face and just be like, okay, we're just gonna do it. I'm gonna say it with my voice trembling. I'm gonna do it with my knees shaking. I'm going to do it when my heart is beating fast. I'm going to do it, girl, even when my breath is short and I think I'm gonna pass out. I'm gonna do it anyway. You
Yes.
learn that I promise you, fear is really a construct of your mind. It really isn't real. It really is a mental construct. And that if you can get on the other side of it, I have found so much joy and I've experienced so many things that had I let the fear take over me, I would have never done those things. And so I want everybody to know, yep, you're gonna be scared. It's okay. Do it anyway. Do it for yourself. Do it anyway.
Yeah, so, as we unpack the idea of leaving a toxic workplace, where I where I funneled us initially in our conversation was, I'm talking to other Black women who are saying, my retirement money is right. My
Yeah.
savings is right. I know exactly what I want to do with my house. I have I have gotten on the bandwagon of wanting to move abroad, like beyond travel. I know I want to be in another place. But
Yeah.
this job represents something in my life, and it's
Ooh.
tied to those things that are, ooh, they
That gave me
are,
chills when you said that because it's
you know,
so real and it's
a
so ingrained in
security,
us.
safety. It's
Say it.
what I know. And
Yep.
because I've been in a place where I didn't have, and I didn't know where my next dollar was going to come from. If,
Yes.
you're at the gas station running that credit card, just, with
Making
fingers
life choices.
crossed.
Making life choices at the pump. Like, are we gonna get a full tank of gas or we gonna save some money for milk? Girl, been there, been there. And to
Yeah.
move past that to a place like what you said, where you've been at the job for 30 years, you've saved the money, you got the pension in place, you paid the house. The house, if the house isn't paid off, is nearly paid off. The kids are gone. What are you doing? At this point, we're just holding on to what is familiar. And I want to challenge all of us. If this is your dream and this is your desire, even if it's an inkling that you think you might want to do something different, do it. Do not allow the fear to come in and undermine that desire. Don't allow naysayers. I don't care. And I didn't say it was going to be easy because there are challenges along the way, but is it worth it? I wouldn't, I'm telling you, we'll get into it, D, because there's so many things I want to just share because it has been so rewarding. I'm team boycott winter. I should never have been in Chicago. I should have left Chicago. Girl, as soon as they let me out of that job, I should have been on a plane. But it took me a little time, but I got it. And I promise you, I don't, if I never see another snowflake again, it'll be okay.
Ooh, girl, you showed the last winter and you were like, I cannot believe I actually went through that. And I think sometimes, I'll say it from my perspective. So last year, I took a sabbatical, and I feel like I'm jumping ahead slightly in our conversation. as far as how to get that perspective.
Yeah.
But it took a break. It took
Hmm.
having an opportunity to stand back and look at what I had been doing to be able to say, do I really want to continue to live my life that way? But, the things that touch my heart. So I'm going to reference Stephanie Perry's uh, Saturday episode this past Saturday.
Yeah.
Black women leave that hostile workplace with your coins, where she was interviewing the anti-HR lady and Dr. Kimani Norrington-Sands.
Yes.
We were in the chat talking the talk about feeling hurt, feeling looked
Oh,
over, the number of women, and y'all, I'm gonna try not to cry during this. The number of women that I know that I have personally experienced myself sitting in the parking lot of a job crying because you don't want to go in. Like, you got to give yourself a pep talk every time you go to work. I was in a PhD program, which is the PhD process is so isolating.
yeah.
It is like you against the world in some
Hmm.
aspects, and you're
Hmm.
leaning into stuff, and you're saying, is this is what I need to do to be able to accomplish X, Y, and Z. What my family, what my community, what society says is successful. And you're up all night. It's the first thing you think of when you wake up. It's the only thing you talk about with.
You eat it, you sleep it, you drink it. I
Yes,
know.
no, you don't
I've
even,
been there.
you don't have a hobby. Everybody
Yep.
knows what's happening and how unhappy you are with the work that you're
Yep.
doing. And, but you don't see that that is the definition of toxic. That is the definition of chaos. And you may not feel oppression like somebody is, you know, holding a gun to your head kind of scenario where this is an obvious danger.
Yeah.
What it was for me, and I don't know about you, and I'm going to ask you to tell your story, but blood pressure, pre-diabetes, heart palpitations, insomnia. Baby, if
Hmm.
you don't know it, your body
Will tell
will tell
you.
you.
That's what my therapist said. The body knows. The body knows. And similar to your experience, the way it manifested for me was anxiety and depression. And probably way more anxiety than depression, but that's a natural byproduct because if you're anxious for so long, eventually the body just gives out. And that was me. The crying in the parking lot, girl, I would start crying. I didn't even know what this was. I promise y'all, you want to know what I thought it was? And I'm going to be, my transparency is real. I thought it was menopause. I was like, ooh, the change has got me going through. I'm crying every day because I'm going through the change. It dawned on me one day, wait a minute, you're not menopausal anymore, sister. You are anxious and depressed. That's what this is. This is the job. You passed that part of your life.
Mm-hmm.
You have overcome that physical change. You are still crying. There's a sense of dread
Dread.
when you put that car in park. That has nothing to do with any physical change in that physical change in life. That's not that. But if you don't know, because I had never really used the word toxic work environment or hostile work environment. I vaguely knew what those things was. I didn't even know what that was.
Mm-hmm.
I because as a teacher, where I taught for almost 30 years, that whole job is about selfless giving. It's about, I don't want to say suffering, but you are certainly sacrificing every day. Nobody teaches for 20, 30 years for the money. By that time, you already know this is
Right.
not going to make you wealthy. You have accepted that this is your ministry. I hope that's why teachers are in the field and in
Mm-hmm.
classrooms because you're called to be there. And that was me. I knew that was my ministry. I knew because I enjoyed it for many years. I bounced in with a cup of coffee. I couldn't wait for the day to start. I couldn't wait for those little kids to get in the classroom. I loved it, loved everything about it. But as things change, 20 years in, 30 years in, changing and admit admins and personalities, I found
And
myself
state
in a
requirements and school district
the
requirements. Yes, ma'am.
workload. First of all, this is a PSA. Pay those teachers. Pay those people. They are the least lazy people I know. They work hard. The giving and the paying and what teachers do day in and day out, thanklessly. Nobody ever thanks a teacher. Pay those people. Okay, that's enough of that. But that was me. And I was doing it happily. For so many years I did it happily. And I want to say maybe the last 5 or 6 years, that wasn't it anymore. I was not happy. I just wasn't myself. And I promise you, that kicked in and it coincided with my change, my physical changes. So I attribute it all to that.
Right.
Never once did I think that maybe it's this job.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it is this load. Maybe it is the fact that you come in here every day and nobody really does acknowledge what you're doing and you feel unseen. You feel like the scapegoat. Because Lord knows if a child fails, it's the teacher's fault. It's not the kid. It's never on the kid. It's never on the parent. It's never the system. It always lands squarely in the lap of a teacher.
Right.
So I was ripe and ready for, to be that girl. And I was certainly in a toxic work environment, didn't even know it, was afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Because who says that? What teacher? You love your job. You love children, don't you? How could this be a toxic work environment? Well,
Right.
it absolutely was. It absolutely was. And I had to come face to face with, okay, you got to make some choices. Either you're going to sacrifice more than you really want to, because I didn't mind making sacrifices for children. But when it came to sacrificing my mental health, my physical health, my emotional, my spiritual wellness, that's where I draw the line. That's when the bells went off for me. Okay, this is too much. This is beyond sacrificing sleep or sacrificing your weekends or spending a little extra money. Those things all come with the job. But when I mentally wasn't well, spiritually wasn't feeling whole and fulfilled, I was like, okay, yeah, this is something different. This is something that you are not going to be able to ignore. And I had to have some radical acceptance that this is your situation, sister. Whether you like it or not, whether you want to call it what it is or not, this is it. I had to sit with that because once you open up that box, you can't close it. Once you know, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. Uh-oh. Now, either you have to do something or you have to accept that I'm going to live this way until I don't. And I wholeheartedly decided to choose me. I was like, oh, no, 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 no. I've raised my children. I've dedicated my almost 30 years of my life to a career. That's enough. That's enough. And I didn't want to, like so many people I had seen, allow that thing to consume you to the place where your physical health is now compromised to the place you can't do anything else. I
Right.
knew I wasn't going to be that either. And so I made the choice. It was a hard choice because I could have gone on a few more years and racked up a few more pennies, all of that.
Yeah.
And I said, nah, nah, we got enough. Hold tight. You got this house, you have investments, you have this pension. We got enough. We got enough. We don't have to be greedy here. Let's make a plan. How do I get out of this? How do I select and make choices that affirm me, only me, not my children, not the kids that I taught, not the people that I loved at my job. I loved, my coworkers. There were some people there that were very good to me. It was not about any of that or any of them anymore. It was what feeds Sandra, what is going to make me healthy. And that was, I had to leave the United States. It wasn't even that I had to. I had this desire to see something different. I love architecture. I love culture. I'm a lifelong learner. I knew I wanted to do that. Well, I kind of exhausted my time in Chicago. I born and raised, I've seen all the museums and all that stuff. I just wanted to see something different. And when I tell you it was the best choice I could have ever made, I tell you, I wake up now and now I skip around with my coffee. I just don't skip into a classroom. Girl, I skip out to these rice terraces. What? I skip out to the museum. I skip to this little pool over here. And it's all about what makes me happy for that day. And I want Because if I can leave that, because it was hard, that 30 years, you're so close to like getting the golden ring. You're so close to getting the last of the last $2,000 wasn't worth it.
Is it worth
Wasn't
it?
worth
Is it? And that I think is a real test. So if you're thinking through, if you're looking at your career, your current relationship with your employer, the work that you do, I think one of the areas that I notice is when you begin to your motivation powers down. Like
it. Hmm.
it's getting harder and harder to give that creativity, that focus, that energy that
Yes.
you used to bring to
Hmm.
the work, that something else is happening,
Yes.
that is causing you to be disconnected. And so I feel like schools try to, I'm kind of using my mother-in-law was a teacher for over 50 years. So, they do these retreats and other things to try to, these opportunities for you all to get hands-on experience.
Hmm.
It ain't always just that. And so a lot of this is, for me, it was self work. It was
Yes.
sitting with myself and saying, where am I? What do I really want? And what's going to get me from where I am to where I want to be?
Yeah.
And the money has a real hold,
Hmm.
has a
Hmm.
real hold that says, I'm this salary is these are my safe dollars because it's gonna show up in my account every week, and like I can do
Hmm.
things with that
Hmm.
predictable money.
Hmm.
And
That's a
so I think
powerful
it creates
stronghold.
that feeder cycle of, I'm
Yes.
gonna stay at work because that money is always gonna come, and when I decide to do something different, either my coins need to be at a level, or they keep telling us we need to have over $1 million in the account, and your 401k needs to look like this, and a pension, and your house needs to be paid off. So talk to me about, because you're the money lady, you're the financial educator. how did you how did you know that your coins were right, if
D, you
it
are
was
so
just a
generous.
matter of numbers?
D, I think you are so generous. I would not ever characterize myself as a financial guru of any kind. Girl, my life's a cautionary tale. I'm a cautionary tale. I can tell you because I promise you, I made all the mistakes. I made all the financial mistakes any one woman could make, from withdrawing money from a savings plan to purchase depreciating assets. I did all of that crazy. So I learned the hard way. Nobody in my house ever talked about money. We never even talked about how to budget. We never talked about those things. And I'm sure that's pretty common in many Black households. You just don't talk about money. So I had to go about learning those things really just the hard way on my own through research and just living through mistakes and looking back and saying, how could I have done that differently? But by the grace of God, I had managed to pay that house off enough because I'd been in the house almost 30 years. I bought into the American dream too. I stayed on a job for almost 30 years. I bought the house in my early 30s. I stayed there till the time I retired. I did enough things right. I never took any equity out of the house. For the most part of my adult life, I stayed out of credit card debt until the last. I got to 50 and decided to get credit cards. Just craziness. So there isn't a situation that a woman could tell me that I wouldn't be able to say, well, girl, yep, I did that. I dug myself out that hole. Let me tell you how you can start to dig yourself out of that particular hole. And so much of it for me was going back and just educating myself and looking back honestly. I'm telling you, there's something about radical acceptance and looking at your situation for what it is. You're going to have to take the rose colored glasses off. And I had to have those conversations, really hard conversations with myself about where was I financially. And you know what? When I did that, I was like, wait a minute. It's not as bad as it looks. It's not as bad as you have conjured up in your mind because
Girl,
you do
the
have the
courage that
security.
it took for me to pull my credit reports.
but we have to do
To
it.
go
You
in
have
there
to do it.
and say, okay, exactly how much do I
Yep.
owe
How
on my
much debt?
student loans?
Oh,
Like, I mean,
chills,
that takes courage because it's
chills.
easy to ignore it. But I think for a lot of people, and I'm going to say just in my story, I couldn't even though I've had a desire to move abroad since I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that with student loan debt, with mortgage debt, with we didn't have credit cards, but just not having a robust enough savings, just a basic emergency fund. Like moving abroad was so far. Those are the things. So I knew for myself when I said this is still my dream. I'm in my mid 40s. It's still my dream.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to get me there? I was not going to leave the States with debt that was
Mm-hmm.
going to follow me. And
Yep.
so being able to close that gap, I think, started the unwinding from
Mm-hmm.
my the attachment that I had to my
Yes.
job, and
Mm-hmm.
to be able to say I can do something else.
Yeah. You said it. We can do other things, you all. I think for me, I know that was such a stronghold. One, I had the house. And I want to credit my children for really helping set me free. They didn't want the house. That was a plus. I was like, wait a minute, we're building generational wealth here. You don't want this house? I want to leave you. They weren't. They weren't any parts of it.
Okay.
First acceptance. I had to accept that my children were clearly saying to me, we want to forge our own path.
Mm-hmm.
While my feelings were hurt initially, I had to look at it. I was like, oh my God, if they don't want it, that means I can do anything I want with this house. I can sell it. I can put it on Airbnb. I can rent. I can do any number of things that will benefit me directly financially. So I have to credit my children for giving me that little nudge. And so that was the first thing. Leaving the job was almost necessary. That was a big step too. Just deciding that this is it. I'm going to get off of this toxic roller coaster. I'm going to get off of this addiction to this paycheck, the steady money coming in every week because I was addicted. I knew for a fact that Chicago public schools was they were going to pay me and they were going to pay me well for you don't get paid well initially, but 30 years in, it was good money. By any stretch, it was good money. So I had to wrap my brain around you have done enough. You've secured yourself enough. If you let go of the house, you don't have a mortgage anymore. And you have garnered all of that. That's a stack of cash. That's a stack of cash. That's a nice stack of cash, ladies. If you're so inclined, if you're thinking about it, I would say certainly consult a financial planner, but that's a nice little infusion of cash. I had listened to enough women around me talk about putting money aside for yourself. So I had other investments that really I said, okay, well, if I put this money with this money, okay, okay, it's starting to look pretty good. It's starting to look like we can do this. And in addition to that, I had a pension. So the money thing really kind of took care of itself because I had worked long enough to secure a pension. I had the proceeds from the sale of the house. I had some of my own personal investments that were doing, pretty well. And so those three kitties of cash gave me at least the financial confidence that I could come out and at least live and not have to eat cat food. I knew I would be okay. I knew I could finance and fund myself because I'm no longer responsible for children. I'm no longer responsible for a house. I gave the car back. I was once I got my mind wrapped around it, I was like, oh yeah, we're in. We in. Once I looked at the numbers and I said, okay, you really do have enough.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to back up just a little bit because Dee, you said something. You said something about going abroad. And it was the first time where you get a chance to step back and kind of even examine what am I doing here? What
Mm-hmm.
am I what cycle am I perpetuating here? That happened for me in 2018. That was really the start of it.
I was
My
gonna
daughter and
ask you
I,
what was that transition for you because I think sometimes it's intentional, like I'm going to take a break, so like sabbatical where you take some time off. But I think sometimes it's situational. What was it for you?
Yeah, I by happenstance, my daughter called me at the last minute and asked me did I want to go on a trip with her to Spain. And I'm thinking, heck yeah, you don't have to ask me twice to get off the block. So we went and we stayed for almost 2 weeks. And in that 2 weeks, I was blown away by the way these people lived.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see anybody rushing. I saw families walking together. I saw people lingering over meals.
Yes.
I saw Sundays in the park and nobody looked stressed. I'll tell you a funny story. I actually watched two guys fighting in the park on a Sunday in Spain. And what they were just man to man, mano a mano, duking it out. And I'm like, oh my God, in Chicago, we would all be trying to get out of there. We would be running for cover because you know it's not going to end well because somebody's ego is going to be bruised. And now we're going to see bullets. And girl, none of that happened.
Wow.
This man hit the other man over the head with a guitar. The man rubbed his head and they walked away. No, everybody went back to what they were doing. And I'm like, these people aren't afraid of gun violence. They're not
Wow.
afraid that somebody's going to come back. None of that. So watching all of those things that I had lived with and been conditioned and the things that I had been trained to in terms of safety and how you secure yourself, none of it applied here. None of it applied here. It was that 2 weeks that gave me a glimpse into another way of life
Mm-hmm.
that when I went back, I couldn't do it. I was like, oh no, you all are crazy here. This is crazy town. The fact that we're worried about gun violence, the fact that it's always accumulate more. I need more. I need to secure myself. All those things that we talked about, I didn't see any of that in Spain. I didn't see one Gucci belt. I didn't see I didn't see any of that stuff. I didn't see any of those things that we would consider wealthy
Right.
or things that we would consider security. They lived very simply. Not to say that there wasn't wealth there, because there was,
Right.
but the prevailing thing was family and quality time. And it was just, it felt so relaxed. It felt like home. That felt more home. I can remember making a post. I told my boss I might not come back. You might need a new third grade teacher because this is living. This is
Yes.
living. And I was
Yes.
able to experience that with my daughter and my grandson. And when I came back, I knew that was the catalyst for me. It was experiencing it. Because had I never seen it, I'm not so sure that I would have been convinced that that was the antidote
Right.
for what I was going through, that toxic work environment, all that anxiety, the depression, the tears, the angst, the dread. I didn't experience that when I was in Spain. And I was like, yep, that's it. That's it. The key is to disconnect from the sickness. The sickness was where I was. That was the key. And so back in 2018, that was the first time that I'd been abroad before, but that was the time that it clicked for me that okay, you can do this. You can live somewhere else. The money's good enough. And I'm not saying, girl, I'm not independently wealthy. I budget. I have a budget. I have a real budget that I have to operate within.
Mm-hmm.
So, sisters, you don't have to have a mountain of cash. I looked at the problem and I worked backwards. It's like, how do I want to live in retirement? There are things I don't want to worry about. There are things that I'm willing to sacrifice. How much is it going to cost me on a monthly basis to achieve those things? And once I kind of had that number in mind, I was like, okay, does your money fit this vision? Oh, yeah, my money fits this vision. I can do this. I couldn't do it in the States because, of course, inflation and everything, but there's so many places in the world where your money just goes further. And they're
Yes.
beautiful places.
Oh.
They are places you can pick. If
Yes.
you like the jungle, trust me, there's a jungle location that fits your budget. You just have to find it. If you like city life, there's a city somewhere globally, if you can open your mind up to it, that your money will support you in. And so that was my next quest was, okay, Sandra, what is it that you want? I knew I never wanted to see another winter. I'm not necessarily a city girl. You know, I like having city amenities, but I appreciate the greenery and outdoors. And so I began to put down on paper. And this is something I would say. Write it down, write the vision down, make it plain, get
Yes,
in touch with
ma'am.
yourself, radical acceptance, tell the truth to yourself about your money. If your money is this or your money is this, you have to decide, you have to be honest, because the last thing you want to do is be out in the world and worried about money. It is,
Yes.
I've seen it, it is
That
not
stress,
pleasant.
that pressure,
It's not
even
worth
in
it.
beautiful places, can rob you, can rob
Yeah.
you of that. One of the things that, as you were talking about, what connected you to your process, and I want to say thank you to our Exodus life, that getting to the point where you're ready to quit, I mean, it can be an uphill because there
Yep.
are a lot of forces that are built into a capitalist system that
Yes.
say you need to stay in
Hmm.
this rotation of, work, whether you're an entrepreneur that just, I always want to create and create and create and
Hmm.
create, and you're overspending yourself, even if you are the boss, even if where
Yep.
you're working is your own, is of your own creation. But
Hmm.
also the cycle of not recognizing in your body that difference, like you don't have enough break, or God forbid, my teacher friends, it's July, and they start those, oh goodness, I gotta go back. I mean, like when you're in that
Yep.
it sounds like a joke, but
Yep.
there's a lot underlying that. Pay
Hmm.
attention to it.
Hmm.
Rashida Dow, Sheeta's on the Loose, said something when I first started watching. She did a CSNBC interview, and she said she was taking vacations, and she had an extended vacation, and said, I want to be the person that I am on vacation all year long, all the time. I don't want the person that has to be on guard, that has to
Hmm.
wear,
Ooh.
uphold this mask,
Mm.
that has to be always on, boss girl, boss lady, boss. I don't want that as a part of my life. And I think we need interruptions, and life provides. If you all did not recognize the interruption of the pandemic,
How
that
could you? How could you have missed it?
could have given us some perspective to say, I'm not doing it like that no more. Um, for the another for me was grief,
Hmm.
losing my father, and recognizing that if I had not had the debt, I could have, would have taken the time off or
Yes.
quit.
Hmm.
And I was just like, never again. I will not let debt hold me from the
Hmm.
care that from my brain to my feet,
Yeah.
was needing in that time. So y'all don't miss the life opportunities that are giving you a window into what you can become, what you need to live that holistic, healthy, abundant life. Thank you. Our Exodus Life, she spent 3 weeks in Rwanda. I know from her story that it didn't just change her life, it changed her husband's life as well. For him to say, I like you like this.
Yes.
So it might even
Yes.
be the people around you
Hmm.
saying, man, you are a lot more calm. Like,
Yeah.
I can see your skin color coming back to a beautiful. I kept saying,
Because sister, you know there's a glow. There's a glow. You all know it. You see Stephanie glow. You see Rashida glow. They are absolutely, and I'm not saying this to gas them up. There's absolutely a glow you get from within when you are happy with what you're doing. And then there's that very jaundiced look when you are unhappy. I know I've seen them both. There's that dread. Dread has a look.
Right.
You wear it all in your face. You wear it in your skin. You wear it in your body from your body posture. So
Yes.
if you look at yourself in the mirror and you see, I'm almost unrecognizable. This doesn't even look like me. That's a sign. Your body
Those
is telling
those
you.
perimenopausal symptoms may not just be your life changes.
Yes.
It may be the impact of stress,
Yep.
anxiety, depression.
Mm-hmm.
I always talk about, y'all, if you're not paying attention to your GYN health, if your periods are off, if your
Come
bleeding
on.
is heavy, fibroids in your breast, I'm talking to black women now, uterine
Yes.
fibroids, um, anxiety that feels like you're having a heart attack,
Insomnia.
insomnia,
That's that's not normal, you all. Insomnia is not
indigestion,
normal.
GI
Yes.
discomfort,
Yes.
bloating. Y'all, this isn't just life. These
Yep.
are things your physical body is communicating with you, and
Mm-hmm.
so embracing that. Okay, I know things are happening. If it's my job, there is something I can do about it. There are
Yes.
steps like what Sonja has mentioned about if it's the money being right, you look at your money. If it's your income, maybe with some retooling, you can transition to a career. Not Don't do like me. Don't get four jobs. Don't try to do all the things because that is the pressure
Mm-hmm.
that you don't want. So
Yeah.
freeing yourself may mean I might need to downsize. I might need to
Yes.
turn a car back in. I might need
Yes.
to
It's
take some of the
okay.
pressure off,
Mm-hmm.
including baby telling your family, mind your
Ooh,
business.
ooh, naysayers, nix them. I'm telling you, because they'll do you in. They will rain on your joy, and they mean well. Some of them mean well. I
Right.
found two groups of people. Some are projecting fear because they're fearful. They just can't see it for themselves, so they can't see it for you. And that's normal. Sometimes I can come from a loving place, a not so loving place. It's not your concern. Just recognize it and acknowledge that it's not going to serve you well, and you need to manage that. I wish I had known that early on in the journey because I would have silenced so many voices. I allowed, this your family. They love you. They don't want to see you hurt. They don't want to see you fall. They don't want to see you not be successful. And so they mean well, but their journey and their perceptions are not mine. That is not me. I have clearly defined for myself, this is not working. I understand this is what you know, but this isn't working for me. And so I'm going to take these very definitive steps to get what I need. Thank you, mom. Thank you, sister. Thank everybody. Respectfully. You won't be respectful, but respectfully, I'm going to ask you to give me some space. Allow me to work this out for myself. I'm an adult. I promise you I have it. And I promise you, ladies, if all else fails, you can always go back. Stephanie said this. You
That
still have the
part.
degree. You still have the degree. You still have the degrees. You still have the skills. You still have the toolkit. You still have that. And for many of us, you will still have a fair amount of money put aside. You're okay. I think we have to get used to the thought that I really can do something different. I
Yes.
really can retool my life. For me, it was finding places that I really could afford to live,
Yes.
the I guess the quality of life that I wanted. And as I began to explore, a lot of my bopping around and exploration was looking for that particular place. Was it going to be the mountains? Was it going to be a beach town? Was it going to be some small little quaint place like Ubud, where there are rice paddies and terraces? So I encourage you, explore. Even if you can't get out and get away, YouTube University is everything. Get in touch with what brings back that spark. that
Mm-hmm.
joy, what really makes you happy, and then work from there. That was one of the things I was able to clearly define for myself. I knew the not the standard of living, because there's no standard of living quite like the US. Now, if you come out here thinking that you're going to replicate that standard of living, it's not that. But I would exchange standard of living for quality of life. I'd
Any
get every
day.
time,
Any day.
every time. Fresh
Yes.
fruit, fresh air, fresh water, just the
And
ability to
a
sleep.
pace that allows you to experience life and
Yeah.
living. If you can
Hmm.
take, if because so my little my Exodus Summit little group of support, we were talking in this space about benefits. Benefits have got us caught up with these toxic jobs. I get a match to my money. I have access to health insurance. I have access to all of these things. We're using that, but you can go to places who are higher on the index of health. If you're looking for places because you have health issues, and if you don't recognize the tie between how close people are in the US to bankruptcy because of
Lord,
medical debt with health
insurance
insurance.
in place.
Yes,
You
I'm
all,
telling you now. My husband and I were just talking about how dental bills and medical bills have just been,
yes,
they're like the little gremlins eating at our savings for moving abroad. I was like, we
yes.
just
No,
we've got to lean in ways that say what's tying us to a place. How can we find those solutions? The one that I think that trips a lot of us up that are in our age range, Sandra, is our children, and
yes.
having honest conversations with mothers that are saying, mothers in particular, that
Hmm.
say, I need to be here for my children. I want to make sure that they get a good start, that they're properly settled. And I'm saying, you, do you know the stats for the number of adult children? I'm talking about like 40-year-olds that are moving back in with their parents.
Mm,
You cannot be the source. You cannot
no,
tie these you cannot tether yourself to these things that keep you tied to a job that doesn't serve you well, to keep you in a cycle that is not productive, that itself is toxic, and your list of reasons really can be reduced or completely alleviated once you begin to center the things that are truly important. Mothers are afraid to be selfish
but
in
you know
some
what, Dee? What
instances.
better gift could you possibly give to your children than being an example of how to say no, how to choose yourself? I promise you, I have the best children, and they're probably somewhere saying, yeah, but I have the best children because they absolutely supported me in this move. They have never once. I think my daughter might have had a little bit of a little issue initially because I've got grandchildren, and I think they thought I was going to be the cookie bacon field trip grandma, and I was like, oh no, 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 let me help you with that. I will not be that. However, we have FaceTime. Y'all
Yes.
all have passports. You can travel. I can come back and forth. There are so many ways for us to connect. So if that is one of the things that has you fearful that you won't be connected, you can absolutely work around that. Why not have my daughter joined me in Mexico City, my daughter and my grandson. So you now have opened up a whole nother avenue for your children to come and visit you. Trust me. Sometimes they'll come, sometimes they won't. But I promise you, the greatest gift is to show them by example, to live that truth out loud, that you will have to make some hard choices in this life. And some
Yes.
of them won't be popular, people won't support you, but you have to forge forward. And in what
Yes.
better way? I really do feel like I've given them, and this is what they have, the feedback I've gotten from them, which is, Mom, thank you. You are really out there living the life that you chose, not the life that was chosen or dictated by anything. and I can see the impact in them. I'm hoping that it gives them that freedom to be an individual. Go your own way, even when it's not
Yes.
popular, even when it doesn't make sense, because it's not going to make sense. But those are the real life choices. Those are the real ones. You know, those day-to-day choices we make, certainly over time, all that thing, it's a cumulative effect. But you're going to have some very definitive points in your life, some pivotal points where you have to, where the rubber meets the road. And
Yes.
I want you to be able to step up. I want you to know that if you make that choice, you're not going to fall apart.
Yes.
People will be okay. Your loved ones, they will be okay. Your job, they will be okay without you. They will make it,
Yes.
they will go on. But it is critical that you pick you.
Yes.
And mothers, we never do that. We never have that dialogue with one another. Motherhood, teaching, all that stuff is selfless. You're the last. You're always the last on the, and that's okay. But every one of us knows it is so difficult to give from an empty cup. I
Yes.
know it just sounds like so cliche, but it is so absolutely true. I am so much more joyful. I am so much different with my friends now. I'm so much more open to different experiences than I was when I was so focused on making this money, building this American dream, paying off the house, paying down this debt. That's not living. I wasn't living. This is living. Living is when you wake up in the morning and you want to engage in a creative endeavor,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that is. If you like to paint, the absence of creativity is certainly a sign that you're in trouble. That's when you said that, D, I almost fell off my chair. That is a sure enough sign. If you are you know who you are. All of us have some kinds of gift. If you can't operate in that gift
Yeah.
in a way that makes you feel joy, something's out of order. Something's amiss. If you're a painter and you can't paint, if you love music and you can't enjoy that thing, something's off. Something's off.
Yes.
Because our lives were created to spark joy, to experience joy. And if you aren't feeling that, it's a telltale sign that it's time to change. And I think what we are trying to do here is tell you you absolutely can make that change. Don't let the money hold you back. Don't let the job hold you back. Don't let the children. None of those things should be factors that stop you from living a joy filled life. It can be done. And I promise you, don't, the money is the least of it. Oh my God. On my channel, we talk about mindset and money. So much of our beliefs about money are so rooted in our mindsets about money. How much is enough? Will I run out? You got to get your mind right first.
Or or the fear from the lived experience
Yep.
of the things that we talked about, not having enough,
Yes.
embarrassment, shame, that not having these good jobs. And a lot of us
Yes.
have really good jobs that
Mm-hmm.
are tied to our esteem. And so we
Yes.
have to expand that to be able to say, look, if there is anything I have in this world, it is me. I am worth investing in. I am worth
Oh,
discovering.
I'm telling you,
And when
chills.
you have the space to discover yourself, these vision boards, I didn't start doing them till, Adelia did a vision board party. Stephanie
Yep.
did. I was just like, I ain't been in a vision board. But it was really interesting at the end of my 3 months that I took off work last year. A vision board helped me to really see. So literally, I like the go to the grab a bunch of magazines, pull titles and pictures that speak to you, and then I cut them out and then started putting them together. And I was like, I'm looking at it right now. So hobby, travel, self care, aging well, sleep, feeling strong, connecting to culture, friendship.
Mm,
I was like, this is the rich life I want. Are you
mm-hmm.
defining that? And what
Mm-hmm.
is making the difference, y'all? And y'all know this is where I end on every self care project that we do on Tuesdays every time. that we get together on H&D Abroad, I talk about community. It's hard
Yes.
to press forward when you feel like you are blazing new territory. But when you get around sisters like Sandra, when you get in communities like the Exodus
Yes.
Summit community, and
Yep.
you realize, oh, I'm not the only one. Oh, I'm not the only one struggling with this. I'm not the
Mm-hmm.
only one trying to break free. I'm not the only one
Mm-hmm.
who set my Blacksit date.
Yep.
And that there are people talking this talk that I can binge listen to while I'm on my toxic job. That's gonna help me get
Listen,
a freedom
give them the
mindset,
keys.
that I
These
can
are the
see
keys.
Sandra living in
Yes.
Bali, flying across the world, and
Yes.
eating beautiful, eating delicious food, listening to beautiful music, and that you can do that in a mindful way with
Yes.
support, people applauding you while you're
Yes.
making these choices, while you're making. Girl, I mean, I'm about to be in tears sometimes when I hear these stories of
Yes.
women saying, I sold my house today, or
Mm.
I Airbnb'd my house so that I could have some extra income that will fund
Yes.
my life. People are offering in numerous groups, the expat app. I mean, just people are talking this talk in so many places. Don't miss it, y'all. Don't miss it.
Don't.
You don't have to do it alone. You don't have to come up with solutions by yourself. You can
Mm-hmm.
put questions in supportive communities, and people will answer, people will offer solutions, people will share their stories, people will say, leave it and
Leave it.
move forward.
Yes. And representation is everything. To
Yes.
see a brown girl like me do it, it's like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Wait, wait, wait. This is a possibility.
And she's
This
a
is on the
teacher
table.
too.
This is on the
You know,
table.
you know, teachers not rolling.
You know, teachers don't make money. But I think you said it, D. You hit it. You have to start with the knowledge that I am worthy. I'm worthy. Not, outside of the kid, you did all of that stuff. Not the things that you do. The things don't make you worthy. The job doesn't make you worthy. The stuff, the house, none of it. You are worthy by birthright. By birthright. The fact that you came into this world, you were worthy the day you drew your first breath.
Breath. Yes.
That for me, I'm so sure I stayed well beyond the time I should have stayed because so much of my identity was tied into, but you haven't finished your career. You didn't do the 30 years. You didn't make the mark. So much of it was tied into, but you have this house, but you drive this kind of car, and you're able to do these things with this money. But none of those things are who I am. None of those things fed my spirit. Those
Yes.
That was me going through the motion of living the American dream, going through the motion of what people told me would make me happy. None of it was true. What makes me happy is being in nature. What makes me happy is being in community with like minded women. It had nothing to do with how much money I had saved, amassed, or was able to make. And so, if a teacher, you all, I promise you, and teachers, everybody knows that teachers don't make any money. If I can do this, and I want you all to hear it seriously, it started with knowing I was worthy.
Yes.
It started with knowing and seeing a different way, going to Spain and seeing people live differently, like, oh, okay. And then that next step, getting in community with like minded women. And then you look at your finances. Of course, there's no pie in the sky here. The money is real. You have to tend to that part. But I will say this to you, it doesn't take as much as you think. It does not take as much as you think. I am here in a beautiful place. Dee and I talked about this earlier in Bali, and I stayed at a beautiful Balinese homestay. I would have never done that, y'all. First of all, I'm an introvert. I don't want to live with anybody. I don't want to talk in the morning when I want to talk. I don't want to say hello.
Yes.
But I stepped outside of my comfort zone and I stayed with this Balinese family. Changed my life, changed my whole life. Cost me $165 for the entire week. Could you imagine that? And they rent that out by the month. You could stay the whole month. So we're talking about less than $700 to lodge yourself for an entire month. It included breakfast. I had built in tour guides. They were so kind, you all. So I'll make sure I gave Dee the information. But if you could support them, I mean, and they don't even know I'm saying this. They haven't given me a thing. But I'm just telling you, it is an option. You can absolutely, whatever your money is, whatever it is, whatever your income is, you can find a place. There's some sacrifices and some things that are different. Again, we talked about the difference between standard of living, and we talked about that being different from your quality of life.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, every time I'll take quality of life. Sometimes I'm in places where you can't drink the water out of the tap. That's okay. That's a sacrifice. That's a challenge. But you can work around that. Bottled water works. These people have lived in these environments for hundreds and thousands of years. If they can make it without potable tap water, so can you. So I go into each new place knowing that this isn't the US. I'm not expecting it to be the US. But what is the value here for me? Is it watching a family and watching this family system and how they build and work together? That's a gift. That was truly a gift watching how they work together and is amazing. So please don't let money ever be the thing that keeps you from pursuing what really makes your heart sing. Because I promise you, there's some place on the planet where you can afford. And the US is so expensive, you all. Step away. All I can say is step away. Step away.
Hey, it. I want to do a public service announcement. We are enticing you to places outside the United States, but this
Yes,
can't be accessible to you if you do not have a passport. So,
absolutely.
so your freedom journey can start with $160 or less. So,
And you can do it. You can start them online. You can go to the post office. I know in Chicago, you can go to the post office.
yes.
Easy process. It's not difficult at all. And it
And we're
doesn't
going to
take as
talk
long as you
more
think.
about passports and access and what that looks like. Because the U.S. passport is one of the strongest passports in the world.
Yes, it
And
is.
I think being able to experience a place, and not just from the perspective of I am going to see something, I'm going to be, and I want to see what I am while I'm away. And so there's more than twofold, but those are two important things. Is hey, I didn't even know people live like life like this, and the impact
Hmm.
that it has on their overall wellness. Look at the countries that consistently rank high on the happiness index. It is
Hmm.
not the
It's
United
not the
States.
US. No, it is not. It is not. Give yourself the opportunity. Go explore. And for me, I think Dee and I talked about this earlier. I've been here almost 10 days or so.
Yeah.
I haven't done one touristy thing. I haven't done a swing. I'm not taking a picture with a big dress. I'm not doing any of those things. I am a slow traveler by design because it suits me. And I would offer that to anybody. 2 weeks is enough time. I mean, even if you only have 2 weeks, but if you can go and stay a place for a month and really immerse yourself and allow yourself to just kind of walk around and do the normal everyday things, go buy groceries, go see how they take care of laundry and those household things, and you'll be able to tell really quickly whether or not this is an environment that supports you, or whether or not this is something, maybe not this place, but you get close. So over time, I've been able to hone in on what is it that really makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
What is an environment that supports me? Do they have enough infrastructure here for me to be comfortable? And I've been able to do that through slow travel. So I will go to a place and stay anywhere from a month, 2 months. And you said it, that passport, the American passport, is very powerful. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we talk a lot of stuff about the US, but that passport We got that part right. That part, that's a plus. And I'm telling you, when people see it, it really does open doors.
Yes.
So utilize it, take advantage of that. And for a very small investment, less than $200, you unlock all these experiences that can help you to hone in on, wait a minute, where is a place other than the US that can support my wellness and support me as a human? But it all begins with a passport.
Right, right, right. And let's see. So Sandra described one approach, and that's slow travel. You don't have to bop every few days or every few weeks. You can spend some time. Sometimes that creates a what do you call that? A financial advantage when you are traveling
Absolutely.
at a slower pace. Um, but you don't also have to move. Like
Hmm.
spending more time abroad, you can spend some time back in the States if that's what you need as you're making. Y'all, there is no all or one plan. There's no all or one opportunity. And sometimes I was discrediting until last week that place mattered.
Yeah,
If you have the opportunity to take your work laptop with your employer's permission
of course.
to work in a different place, I can guarantee you I was sitting at the beach with the waves and the pressure that I normally feel when I'm just sitting in my house because I have the opportunity to work remote. It's just different. Being
Hmm.
able to breathe that beautiful salt air or to encourage myself to walk downstairs and go walk on the beach in the
Hmm.
morning or in the evening. So if you have that opportunity to um, experience some of these places for a couple of months or a month at a time or 3 months, look into what opportunities that can give you some distance from the place, even if you can't accumulate some time. I'm trying to find this um, post. Someone put it together for this year how you can like if you take off a certain like 7 days between Thanksgiving and Christmas, you could, that's a 10-day break. Combine, see what you can
Oh, I saw
combine with
that.
those regular days off, and
Hmm.
so that you can take some time away. So yeah, we that's what we're advocating here is your best life is not in a hostile workplace. It is
Never.
not in a toxic workplace or a toxic
Mm-mm.
mindset that says, this is all that is available to me. This is what success looks like. I encourage you, Sandra's encouraging you to open your eyes to the experiences that can help you create that generational wealth, embrace a
Yes.
healthier lifestyle, and really hone in to a state of being that is positive, creative, giving, and is truly light. Not because of how you can produce, it is not tied to your productivity, it is tied to your worthiness as a human being.
Yes. That's so beautifully said. Because productivity will get you caught up every time because we are taught that I'm nothing if I'm not producing. What have you done? What have you done for me lately? What have you done lately? What's your accomplishment? What letters do you have behind your name? And those
What do
things
you
work.
do?
They have all
Nobody
served.
outside the US asks, what do you do?
No, isn't that something? You could be at a whole dinner and a whole conversation, and it will never, ever, ever come up. We have really been sold a bill of goods. And don't get me wrong, the US, it was a great. I want to say that if you can make it there, certainly the same, I feel this way about Chicago. If you can survive in those environments, trust me, you can make it out here in the rest of the world because nobody, nobody is working as hard, nobody is pushing as hard. They just aren't. And if you haven't seen it, it's hard to envision yourself in something different if you've never seen anything different.
Right.
And so I encourage you certainly to travel. Travel has changed my life It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be a month. You can do it in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, you can see, you can get a feel for a different lifestyle. That was my first experience in Spain. When the light bulb went off, it's like, oh, okay, we can do this a little differently and really start to enjoy life. I encourage you to do it. And don't fill your days with parasailing and all that stuff. You know, of course, see museums or whatever makes you happy,
Yeah.
but just try to be, just be in that space. Be, just take a breath and soak it all up and see how it feels. Oh, that's my grandson. See, I'm
Oh.
telling you, you can FaceTime. I'm telling y'all, you can FaceTime. Don't worry about the grandkids. I
That's
promise you, if
it.
that's one of the things that's on your list, my grandson will FaceTime me anytime, day or night. I love it. I love it.
I
I
was
love it.
gonna
I love
say
it.
that freedom, where I don't have to say,
Yes.
"Baby, I'm in a meeting right now."
Yes. I can say, hold tight, grand boy. Nene will be right there. Give me 30 seconds. I'll call you right back. I could never do that from my desk from
Right.
teach. I could never be like, grand boy, it's 12 in the day. Let's chat. Let's play video games together. That free, it's so priceless, you guys. I think what we want to say is that every sister is deserving of that kind of space. You're deserving of your soul being fed. I mean, really fed. You're deserving of rest. We talk about rest a lot now too, because it's so long, it's so overdue. We've saved everybody, we've worked every job, we've catered
Black
to.
women, yes, ma'am. We have done it all.
We've done
It is
enough.
time to lay
We've done
down
enough.
and
We we
rest.
we did enough. And I promise you, rest don't hurt. Rest does not hurt. Get you some. When we're done, D, I promise you, there's a beautiful bed in there.
Yes.
Girl, I don't care that I don't care if it's 10 o'clock. I'm taking a nap.
Yes.
I'm gonna take a nap and I'm gonna lounge there until they bring me my meal. And when they bring me my meal, I'm gonna take my meal. I'm gonna sit in this pool. I'm gonna watch these rice paddies. I'm gonna do nothing. But I'm okay with that. I had, that's a mindset shift as well, is that we aren't valuable, or, we talked about this. If we aren't producing, if you aren't, what did you do today? Girl, I did nothing today.
You
I
know,
rest.
you
I
know,
worked
you
on my
know what the
mental health
community
today
says. What do you do? As little as
as
possible.
possible. That should be on you. That should be at the top of your list every day. Put it on a mirror, put it on a post-it note, stick it on a mirror somewhere. Do less today. We
Yes.
never say that, but I promise you, when you get with like-minded people, when you get with community, because D, this wasn't my first time out the box. I tried to do my exodus. I tried to expat to Spain. As a matter of fact, I was going to teach English
Right.
back in 2020, and the pandemic hit. Girl, they shut down, they shut everything down in Spain, and I had a lot of time but no community, and I was miserable. Beautiful place, beautiful town, beautiful food, just beauty everywhere. And girl, I cried every day because I didn't have that connection. Even though I'm an introvert, we all need people. We all need to be connected. We all need to feel loved and a part of a community or part of something bigger and outside of ourselves. And by the grace of God, Exodus Summit, I don't even know how it happened. I'm sure I was researching, like, where am I going to live next? Because Spain didn't work out. Being there, not knowing the language, not seeing anybody that looked like me, it was tough. And so I came home. I didn't feel defeated. I just knew that that wasn't the time and it wasn't the space for me to expat right then and there. But I came back with a resolve to figure out what was. And
Yes.
just through watching YouTube, I came across Stephanie Perry, came across Exodus Summit. I was like, oh, yep, that was it.
These
That
are
was the
my
missing piece.
people.
These are my people. Find your tribe. Once you find your tribe, it
Yes.
changes everything. It
Yes.
was a game changer for me. And so I feel
Absolutely.
very supported, because I can tell you, there isn't one place, and this is to Stephanie's credit. Do you know there isn't one place I've been on the planet and I haven't run into an Exodus Summit woman? I promise you. I promise you. I was all throughout Mexico. Not in every town, but in enough of them. There
Yes.
was a sister, either she was coming, she was going, or she had been, and she could be a resource to me. So
Yes.
many sisters have already come through this space. And when they knew I was coming, they would drop in my DMs and be like, make sure you do this. That is priceless. It's priceless. Exodus women are like no other. We will share, we will give it away. We'll give it away.
Give it
And
away.
you want that. You need that. I'm telling you, don't overlook that. Don't overlook the importance of representation. Don't overlook the importance of community and that ability to share. And then I always try to pay it forward because
Yes.
so many people gave to me. I try to give it away too. And but
Hmm.
we're all like that. That's what I found. Most of us are that same way. We're just you call an Exodus sister, she's gonna give you everything she got. You don't even have to ask, she's gonna give it to you. What do you need? Where are you?
Exactly.
What
You
can I
just
do
raise
to
your
make your
hand and we're
journey?
saying what? How
Yep.
can we how
Be of
because
service.
that is that is the new wave and
Yeah.
we're creating a space that is safe to say I don't know, to say I'm in transition, to say I'm scared, to say this hurts
Yes.
and to say
I
I
didn't
want
do
to
it
be free.
perfectly.
This is,
Yes.
this you can make an announcement that you can't say in other spaces. I'm ready to
Mhm.
go. I'm moving forward. I haven't like there's some people say I haven't even told my mama, but I'm getting ready to go and that is the treasure that is
Yeah.
Exodus Summit, but that is that is, I think, the game changer in this conversation is
Hmm.
yes, Anne Marie, the anti-HR lady, is out here sharing this information. Look, Dr. Kimani Norrington-Sands, Lifting as We Climb, is
Yes.
sharing this information on her channel.
Yes.
Y'all, you do
We're
not
giving you ways
need
to
to
finance
have
it.
it all figured out.
Do not. You do
So,
not. You do not. And it doesn't have to be perfect.
correct.
Please trust me. I don't know what it looks like to you all. Trust me, it's not perfect. There are things I am still working out. There are things like I still don't have a virtual mailbox, but it's okay. There are people who, there's somebody out here who knows how to get done what you need to get done. Stay connected. Stay connected. Be open. Make
Yes.
those connections. I
Yes.
promise you, it's invaluable. It'll lighten your load. And I think that each iteration, every next generation or every next group or cohort of women that try this, you don't have to do what we did before. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be all new discoveries for you. Because
Correct.
trust me, somebody already did that. Stay
Yes.
connected. I have been spared so much heartache and angst because a sister coming who came before me said, hey, don't do it that way. There's a better way. Or here's a connect. I know you're going to be there. Here's a guy on the ground that can help you. You
Mm.
can't pay for that. You can't pay for
Yes.
that. And I promise you, it's there, it's available. You just have to open your mouth and be open. Somebody, there's a sister willing to help and share.
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to thank everybody who joined us today, but especially Sandra. Let me tell you why this 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 session is beautiful. Sandra is 13 hours ahead of my time zone. 13, and she said let's make it happen. I'll get up early. I'll This is the
Yeah.
Exodus Summit community. This is what Black women are putting into the world because we're saying this our freedom wasn't just civil rights. We are getting free on multiple fronts. We are getting free, and I'm saying freedom because I can't wait for the content we're going to be
It's
releasing
coming.
for Juneteenth and June. Y'all,
Yes.
we are getting free. Find your freedom. Don't let these jobs, whether you consider it to be toxic or hostile, don't let that hold you back from
Mm.
growing, blooming, and being your best self. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you, everybody
Thank you
that's
for having
joined
me.
today. All of all of our friends. If I go through the list, y'all, I know I'm gonna miss somebody. So I want to say thank you. Thank you to Maya Spikes, who is reminding me to say, don't forget to hit the like button, share this video with another sister, subscribe to Lack to Legacy, from Lack to Legacy with Sonja. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for us here at H&D Abroad. Please, as you are entering this holiday weekend, as we remember, a trailblazer for a woman who left behind what was toxic, y'all. With
Yes.
Anita, I'm sorry, Tina Turner,
Yes.
Anime,
That was, she was a trailblazer. Anime.
Anime Bullet,
Anime left
baby.
long ago
If
when it wasn't
she
even
wasn't
popular
the
to leave.
example of what getting free looks like and
Yes, Lord.
what you can bloom into, and then what did she do? She said bye.
Mm-hmm.
She went on to France and then to
Mm-hmm.
Switzerland. Baby, she lived her best years. She said, this is where I can breathe. This is where I have also found love.
Mm.
Don't hold to what you know. Expand yourself.
Yes.
So I just wanted to give a dedication to our Exodus sister, Tina Turner.
Absolutely. She
That
was the
you
first.
don't
She's a
need millions
trailblazer
of
for sure.
dollars and millions of fans.
So
You can live your best life out here. So thank you everyone for joining us
thank
today.
you. Thank you
Peace and
guys.
blessings, everyone. Bye for
Bye
now.
bye, everybody.